So what's going on between Thailand and Cambodia? Let's talk about it from what's the cause of it to what's going on and the implications. It began with the thunder of artillery ripping through the dawn, a sound that Southeast Asia prayed it would never hear again. Right now, in the last week of July 2025, a brutal, full-scale war is raging on the border between the kingdoms of Thailand and Cambodia. This is not a drill. This is not a historical reenactment. This is a live feed from a new front line, a conflict escalating by the hour. To understand how this fire could erupt, you have to look at the embers that have been glowing for over a century. The root of this conflict isn't new. It's carved into the stone of ancient temples and drawn onto colonial maps. At its heart is the dispute over sacred territory, most famously the magnificent Preah Vihear Temple. An 11th century Khmer masterpiece, it sits on a cliff claimed by both nations. In 1962, the International Court of Justice ruled the temple belonged to Cambodia, a decision that has left a deep scar on the Thai national psyche and has been a rallying cry for nationalists for decades. This ancient wound is the source of all modern flare-ups, including the deadly clashes from 2008 to 2011. This old wound was recently torn open again. The fire wasn't a sudden combustion. The ground was soaked in gasoline for months.
សរុបមកវិញគ្រប់បញ្ហាទាំងអស់ដែលកើតឡើងចុងក្រោយនេះរវាងកម្ពុជានិងថៃតាមទាំងទាំងឡាយគឺថៃគឺជាអ្នកបង្កហេតុ
Tensions began to boil over this year. Nationalist rhetoric, once confined to fringe groups, became mainstream in both nations' politics.
ไม่ยอมสูญเสียอธิปไตยของประเทศเรานะครับเราปกป้องตัวเราเองเต็มที่แล้วอยากให้พี่น้องประชาชนและรัฐบาลจะรับผิดชอบดูแลพี่น้องประชาชนอย่างเต็มที่นะครับแล้วก็กระทำทุกอย่างเท่าที่เงื่อนไขเราทำได้อย่างสุดความสามารถ
There were minor skirmishes, a patrol from one side detaining farmers from the other. There were economic disputes over water rights and trade. Social media became a battleground of its own, with waves of disinformation and propaganda poisoning any chance for goodwill. The final breaking point was a meticulously documented escalation. Monday, July 21st, a Thai border patrol unit and a Cambodian reconnaissance team exchanged fire for less than a minute. No casualties, but the diplomatic fallout was immediate. Both governments issued furious statements, accusing the other of violating their sovereignty. Wednesday, July 23rd, a Thai military vehicle on patrol near the Tamon Temple complex struck a newly planted anti-tank mine. 3 soldiers were critically injured. Thailand's military command called it a cowardly act of state-sponsored terror. Thursday, July 24th. In a dramatic tit-for-tat, both Bangkok and Phnom Penh recalled their ambassadors and expelled key diplomatic staff. The border, a lifeline for trade and communities, was slammed shut. The countdown to war had begun. On Friday, July 25th, at dawn, the war began in earnest. This is not a repeat of the limited clashes of the past. This is a 21st century war. The Royal Thai Armed Forces, one of the most powerful in the region, unleashed their Western-supplied hardware. We've seen satellite imagery of their Saab Gripen and F-16 fighter jets taking off from bases in the northeast, conducting surgical strikes on Cambodian command centers. Their Leopard 2 tanks, a formidable force, have been seen moving towards the front lines. Cambodia, heavily backed by China, has responded with surprising ferocity. Their military is deploying Chinese-made long-range rocket artillery, systems capable of striking towns deep inside Thailand. They have used swarms of cheap but effective attack drones to harass Thai positions. This isn't just a ground war. It's a multi-domain conflict fought with jets, drones, rockets, and cyber attacks. As I watch these horrific images flood my screen, my mind keeps recoiling, trying to make sense of it all. Because this war, for me, isn't just a news story. It's personal. My memory of this region is so profoundly different. When I close my eyes, I can still feel the singular heat of Thailand, a living warmth that radiated from the pavement, from the sizzling woks, from the sea of smiles that greeted me everywhere. I had a lot of beautiful experiences while touring Thailand. I was able to witness the beauty and uniqueness of the culture. I got to ride a mighty elephant, had an amazing experience with a tiger, which was terrifying and amazing. I was also able to hold a large snake with no fear in my eyes. I also came across ladyboys and knew what they were and how hard it was to tell the difference. A land of profound peace, even in its chaos. To reconcile that memory of grace with the carnage of today feels impossible.
Dobra, takie coś. To jest market, tylko to jest taki poradny, baza. I tutaj jakiegoś gościa mam ogarnąć, możesz tu być. Bo gadałem wczoraj, byłem w takiej mini imprezie niby, jak się nazywała. Czy tam imprezie, 4 osoby może były, czy nawaleni. Wypiłem jakiś napój. I tu jest facet. Pójdzie ze mną, pokaże mi, gdzie jest ta wioska taka, bo to jest są mniejszości etniczne. To akurat to jest granica z Birmą i granica z Chinami. Mnie akurat interesuje ta z Birmą.
Beyond the military strategy is a simple, horrific truth. Civilians are paying the highest price. This isn't a remote border dispute anymore. It's a slaughter of innocents. We have confirmed reports from international aid agencies. In Thailand's Surin province, a rocket barrage hit a crowded market during the lunch hour. In Cambodia's Otter Minchi province, an entire village was flattened by an errant airstrike. The numbers are almost too large to comprehend and are growing every day. The official death toll has surpassed 200, but sources on the ground say it is much higher. The number of displaced people has now exceeded 300,000. These are not just numbers. They are teachers, farmers, children, parents. They are people who have lost everything in a matter of days. Hospitals on both sides are completely overwhelmed, running out of blood, medicine, and space. Doctors are performing surgery in hallways as the sound of explosions gets closer. In Bangkok, a city I remember for its vibrant energy, there is now a palpable fear. The war feels both distant and terrifyingly close. The stock market has crashed. The tourism industry has vanished overnight. There is dissent, but voices for peace are being drowned out by a rising tide of nationalism. In Phnom Penh, the mood is one of defiant unity. The government has framed this as a final struggle for sovereignty. The state media runs a constant loop of patriotic songs and images of military strength. And this war is being fought on a third front, the internet. TikTok, Facebook, and X are flooded with disinformation. AI-generated images showing fake atrocities are used to incite hatred. It's a digital poison that is making future peace efforts seem almost impossible. The world is watching in horror, but its response has been fractured and weak. At the United Nations, the Security Council is deadlocked. A resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire was vetoed by China, which called it a one-sided text. The United States is trapped, as Thailand's treaty ally is under immense pressure to provide military aid. But doing so would mean directly fueling a war that is killing countless civilians. China is playing a dangerous game. It is Cambodia's staunchest defender on the world stage, while intelligence sources suggest they are supplying Cambodia with a steady stream of weapons and advisors, seeing this as a proxy conflict to diminish American influence. And ASEAN, the regional body designed to prevent exactly this, has proven utterly powerless, paralyzed by its principle of non-interference as two of its own members are at war. How did it come to this? How did a land of smiles become a landscape of graves? The kindness I witnessed now seems like a fragile dream shattered by the nightmare of politics and firepower. This war will end eventually. All wars do. But when the guns finally fall silent and the dust settles, what will be left? How will two peoples, so deeply connected by culture and history, ever look at each other across a border scarred by so much death without seeing the ghosts? What becomes of a paradise once it has been set on fire? But behind the cold calculus of military hardware are the young men tasked with waging this war. On both sides of the border, it is a generation of farmers, mechanics, and students who have been thrust into a muddy hell. These are not seasoned veterans of foreign wars. Many are recent conscripts. They share the same heat, the same mosquitoes, and the same terror of the whirring sound of a drone overhead. Life in the trenches is a lottery of survival, punctuated by the tremor of incoming shells and the desperate scramble for cover. They fight for the flag on their uniform, but they die for the friend in the foxhole next to them. And this war is not just destroying lives. It is annihilating history. The very temples that are the cause of this conflict are now its victims. UNESCO has issued desperate pleas for both sides to respect the sanctity of these World Heritage Sites. But reports confirm that the 12th century Tamon temple complex has sustained heavy shelling damage. The fear is that Preah Vihear itself could become a target. This is not just collateral damage, it is cultural eradication. The destruction of these ancient stones is an attack on the very soul of a people, an attempt to erase a heritage that has survived for 1,000 years, only to be threatened by the weapons of today. And in the middle of this chaos are the journalists, trying to write the first draft of history. They are risking their lives to get the truth out, navigating a landscape of propaganda and suspicion. Several international reporters have been detained, accused of espionage. Local journalists face even greater risks. Every photo, every report, every interview from the front lines is an act of courage, an attempt to cut through the fog of war and show the world the human cost of this catastrophe. Without them, we would only have the lies peddled by the warring governments.